All right. I can't wait. I can't wait. By the end of the session, you should have lead generation follow-up plans for all the leads you generate. And pay close attention to nothing or everything. I'm not sure there. But let's jump into it. So I need to draw a picture. You guys might have seen this. I draw it often. I call it the big business blueprint. So we talk a lot about your database, and actually on Wednesday, that's the class that we're going to teach is all about your database. When you start off, this is basically your SOI. Another way to say this is people that you have met. All of those people go into your database. Now, there's a whole nother section of people that you have not met. Gary Keller calls them non-mets because he's very creative. And those are leads. So the whole game plan when we get started and what we talk about a whole lot is with your database, you should run the 36 touch. This is a series of touches so you stay top of mind. This is going to be our class on Friday. So your 36 touch, you should get some people that raise their hands and say, hey, I actually am looking to buy or sell real estate. To me, a lead is anyone that you have their contact information and they have a timeline. So if you get like a random list of people that I'm like, hey, here's just 1,000 phone numbers. Those aren't leads to me. Those are potential leads to me because you have no idea about their timeline. If someone says, I want to buy a house in the next decade, they are a lead, but not a very great lead because a decade is a long time. Can't pay bills off of something that's going to close on a decade. So those leads, you need to run through a nurture plan. So do you know how to know when a buyer or seller is going to actually buy or sell? Like if you meet someone and they're like, I'm going to buy in 3 months. Do you know how long they're actually going to buy? Not 3 months. That's all you know. For some reason, no one's timeline ever matches up with their plans. Rochelle, you just bought a house. When did you want to buy a house? You were pretty close to your timeline, but I thought you wanted to move faster than you did. Yeah, yeah. So you were trying, but the world didn't work out for you. So the one thing you can count on is whatever someone tells you is probably not what's going to happen. So we need to nurture them because it's either going to be shorter or longer, and we have no idea. But then after you nurture them, that's where it goes to like, I would call it service the business. You're going to go on an appointment, and that's going to lead to an agreement, and then in the end to closing, which is when you get paid. So that is our game plan forever. Now we are going to talk a lot more. Well, the other thing here is you probably have to have sources of leads. I'd like to have 2 sources that are generating leads. And sometimes those leads you add to your database. So you can run your 36 touch marketing program to nurture them until they close. So we're not going to talk about this bottom portion today. We don't care about that. It's not about the appointment. It's getting to the appointment. We're not gonna, so this class is on Friday. So we're not gonna talk about the 36 touch, and the database class is on Wednesday. So, and then all of next week is going to be other lead sources. So that leaves us with this section here. I shouldn't have drawn so ugly all over this. Hopefully I don't reference back to this chart ever again. So we're going to talk about your leads and your nurtures. Quick question though, because we can direct this to however you guys want it. If you were to go generate leads right now that are not people that you know, how would you do that? Door knocking? You're a door knocker? Okay. Door knocking, social media. What else? How would you guys generate leads? There's like 1,000 ways to do it. Some of these are very broad, right? Like social media is broad. Maybe you have a more like dialed in campaign. Mailers.
How prospects for sales for sales teams.
Ooh, I'm gonna call that influencers. Just to make it sound fancy.
Like what I would do is I would reach out to like the managers and like do the all of them like go through.
Oh, so you're, oh, wait, maybe we're thinking different.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for like an army of sales guys going out that knock on the door and they're like, oh, we're moving in the next 6 months. We can't buy a security system. You're talking about like, hey, you made a whole bunch of money. You should go buy. Okay. Is that how you spell niche? 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 What is it really? I asked Google one time and it told me niche, and then someone else was saying niche the other day, and so I asked Google again and it said niche. Google can't decide. Okay, I sound fancier if I say niche. Makes me feel like I know something that people don't know. Like, oh, it's niche. Like you're wrong. You're saying it wrong. Okay, so a little niche of exact people. Any way else that you guys would generate leads? Can I put one more on here that I bet all of you will do? Open houses. I wanted to list out a few of these so we can specifically talk about it because I'm going to talk about some generalities on how I manage my lead follow-up and this whole idea of nurtures. But then I want to get specific in a few of these so that you can have an exact plan of something that you're going to do and then how you follow up with those people. Sound like a plan? That is a great question. So I worked for a team and I analyzed our leads often. And one time I sat down and I realized that we spent 80% of our money to generate 20% of our closings. And we did that through events, internet leads, and we bought leads from random sources, like a Zillow type idea. But it was 80% of our spend for 20% of the results. And so that means that 80% of our results came from 20% of the spend. This is the 80-20 rule. We literally have it on the wall, that number 2. So 20% of your efforts are going to yield 80% of your results. Well, our 80% was our sphere of influence. So I'm like, why are we spending money on anything that isn't our sphere of influence? So we scrapped everything that we were doing and we upped the amount of events that we did, the amount we would send mailers to our sphere. And we did like giveaways and things like that. So all of the money that we spent went towards our sphere. Besides that, we did internet leads because it's easy. You push a button, you pay more money, you get more leads.
What counts as your sphere? Like,
Ooh.
months?
This is the question. This is the question. So we talk about databases a lot, and everyone just thinks like this is your sphere of influence. And then people take that and they jump into people that I like my friends, my family, my people that I would hang out with. It is not that. It is literally every single person that you know is your database. And then the closer they are to you, probably that's a better indication or if you actually have any influence over, so your sphere of influence. But when we're talking about database, we are talking about literally everyone. So Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know if you guys know him, if you like him, he comes up on my social media feed all of the time. So the other day I'm like, fine, I stop and listen to your content. I'm going to follow you. I've listened to you for years and years, like follow. And the first video that came up after I followed him was he's like, hey, you know what I would do if I started a service-based business? He's like, let's just take landscaping for example. But service-based business, that is real estate. He said the first thing that I would do is I would take out my phone and I would film a video. And he actually did an example video of what he would say and what he would do. And I would send it to every single person in my phone. What are the chances I can find this video? Sidetrack. You know when you like favorite stuff or like save it? Oh, found it. Wait for it. Share. No, I don't want to share it there. Stop. Oh, wait. Wait for this. Watch training. This is a tangent, but I love this tangent, so we can follow it. 7429. Gary swears a lot, Gary V. So sorry, I don't know if he's gonna swear.
Everybody who's got a service business, you cut hair, you do consulting, you're a physical trainer, you make a video that looks like this. Hey, everybody, I'm finally going after my lifelong passion to start my own landscaping business. So you're getting this video because you're in my contacts on my phone. Some of you are my best friends since high school. Others, I probably met once and you're in my phone. I'm sending this to literally everybody from A to Z in my phone. I'm not asking you to hire me to do landscaping. I'm asking if you know anyone who might be in the market for a landscaper. This is my one plea, my one ask as I start on this journey. And I hope my journey maybe even inspires some of you to finally jump and start your own thing. So I'm starting with Andrew Anderson and I'm editing with Zachary Zazaloff. I apologize if we've only talked once and you find this to be spam. I will put the link to my social media and website if you like my landscaping business. And it means a lot to me if you even watched 30 seconds of this video because it is really my dream. Have the best day. And literally text every single person. Grab your favorite beverage of choice, tea, wine, water, put on your favorite music, start at 2 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, go into 9 p.m., get it done. You will have a business. Everybody.
Interesting, right? Your database is literally every single person. You're going to have different relationships with all of these people. Even your leads are going to end up in your database. And so you might have met them once. I hate adding leads to my phone because I feel like I have 1,500 contacts. Like I don't need to be adding more contacts. In fact, it just looks nicer when it's shared. I don't want to add more contacts if I'm not going to actually work with them. But some people I will, you know, like my buddy sent me a referral for a chiropractor. Seems like a cool guy. I would probably hang out with him. Like we would be friends. I'm showing him houses. He is a client. He is a lead. He's in my phone. If I'm like signed agreement, I'll probably add you to my phone because I want referrals. Like if I were to send a video like that, like, hey, I'm in real estate. Send me all of your people. Here's my thing. Like he'd be okay getting that. So I would just add everyone that you possibly can and then follow up with them as much as humanly possible. That's the 36 touch. Again, we're going to talk about that more on Friday in the Rise class. So let's talk about when you get leads. When someone finally raises their hand and says, oh, I might want to buy a house. Or you do one of these things, you door knock, you're doing social media, mailers, influence, some little niche program where you're connecting with those people. You do an open houses and you get a lead. My wife, she is a new agent. She got her license maybe a month or two ago. She did her second open house on Saturday. She had one person come in, but it's like an awesome lead. She's like, I love this house, except for it's super dated. So I don't want to put $200,000 into this house. But then she's asking me, she's like, what should I do? I'm like, you go send her houses. So I want to show you how I run all of my lead follow-up as a generality. So I put people into command. Every single lead goes into command that I possibly have. I don't care how like defined they are as a lead or how soft or anything. If I like get a hand raise or a semi hand raise, boom, they're in command. Some of those people are already in command. And I do that because I want to be able to follow up with them. Now, every lead that I have in command, I am going to tag them. I have a hot, nurture, watch, and long-term. Now, I stole these, at least the hot, nurture, watch, from an old CRM that I used to use. So you might want to name them differently, but basically hot is now business. Now to 1 month. Nurture, this is like 2 to 3 months out. Sometimes it's just the right house. The watch is like 3 to 6 months, and long-term is 6 months plus. So now it's real easy for me to pull up the leads in my system. I can even create like a smart filter within command, and I can just like filter through groups of people here. Now with this, I have just set standards for myself on how often I need to reach out to these people. So my now business, this is every week. Every single week, I need to talk with the hot leads that I have. If they're good looking, even better. I always think that's funny. They're hot. So nurture, I say 2 to 3 weeks. Let's be honest, I'm 3 if I really define it. Every 3 weeks. This could get hard. Imagine that someone's like, I'm going to buy a house in 3 months, and every 3 weeks you're talking to them. But remember, if they say they're going to buy a house in 3 months, when are they going to buy a house? Not in 3 months. So they might move sooner, they might move later. You don't know that, and that's why you're following up so often. The watch, I'm going to do this every 6 weeks. And the long term, this is every quarter. Which is that 9 weeks? How many weeks are in it? No, 12. So we're kind of doubling-ish. Questions about this? Sounds so easy, right? So in my command, which we can pull up if we want to, I literally have leads that are tagged this, and then I have a priority in my mind on who is most important. So the hots, that's the closest to a paycheck, #1 priority. All the way down. That makes it easier. So when I get in my lead gen mode, I know who I need to call and when. Now, the only thing that throws this off is the other thing that you have is your sphere of influence or your database. Like, how do they fall in terms of priority? I actually put them as #2, and then everything gets bumped up. So first, when I start the day and I'm like, okay, it's time, let's do my lead follow-up. Boom, my #1 is HOTS. I want to get paid, so I need to get as many people of these moving forward. #2, I'm going to call my sphere of influence that I'm going to call this week. If you guys don't know, I run the system called DTD2, which is do the database to, which you just call the first letter of their last name. Then I move to my nurtures, people I haven't talked to in 3 weeks. Then I move to my watch, people I haven't talked to 6 weeks. And then I move to long-term, every person I haven't talked to in a quarter. So now what happens is sometimes I don't make it to the long-term people. But you know what? I'm fine with that. Because if someone says, I want to buy a house in 1 year, and I don't call them in 1 quarter, do you know what happens in their mind? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because they told me they're going to buy in a year. So they don't think it's weird. Real estate agents used to think, and there's probably still a bunch of them that think this way, is that whatever a person tells you, you cut it in half, and that's when you reach out to them. Seems like a good rule of thumb. But even just long term, I don't want it to go past a quarter. So this is my standard for myself. It's that easy. Now, what do you say? Yes, yes. So let's roll through this. Let's imagine let's go through a random scenario and then we'll work on each of these. Let's say you run an open house just on Saturday. So we're now Monday from the open house on Saturday. You met with a person and they said, I would love to buy, but this is not the right home for me. When do you reach out to them and what do you say?
Show you're interested, find out about them. What they're looking for.
Yes. So in the CRM that I used to use that I stole Hot Nurture Watch from, they had one that they called Qualify. And the Qualify was for anyone that you didn't know where they were at. You had made an attempt. So the other one that they had was new. So a new lead is someone that you had never called before. You never tried, you never called, like you should have no new leads. But this Qualify, it was like you have made an attempt, but you don't know what bucket they fit into. And so those leads, they said you should reach out every single day. And there's a couple of different campaigns to run. I don't love any of them, but my biggest advice here is real estate is not dating. Because if you meet someone and then the next day you call them and they don't answer, and then the next day you text them and they don't answer, and then you call them and they don't answer, and you just continue that for like a week. If you were dating, that person would be like, nope, I'm out. But in real estate, you're just being a good salesperson, good follow-up. So, okay. So I'm going to add more to our scenario here. This open house lead says, I don't have a real estate agent. I would really like to buy a house probably in the next, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 months. This is what they tell you in the open house. By the way, whenever anyone tells me that, I ask them a follow-up question. My follow-up question is, wait, do you want to start looking in 2 to 3 months, or do you want to move in 2 to 3 months? Because if someone says like, oh yeah, in like 2 months, I need to move into my house, but I have like maybe a month buffer. Well, it's like, okay, well, the under contract process is 30 days. So if you want to be in 2 months, well, we have to find a house in the next 30 days, go under contract to get you in 2 months. That changes it if you want to start looking in 2 to 3 months. Those are completely different conversations, but we often don't ask that one question. So it's, when do you actually want to move in? You know, sometimes people are like, I want to move in 6 months. And then they say, but I also want to build a house. Okay, well, that's now. Right now, we should be under contract because you're behind the ball. Okay, so they're qualified. They want to move in a house in 3 months, and they don't have a real estate agent. They said they're okay with the price of the home. They just didn't like this. It wasn't like the one for them. It didn't speak to them. So now we're Monday. Do you follow up today from this open house lead? Yes. Okay, everyone's in agreement. What would you say to this lead? Let's imagine you make a phone. Wait, are you calling, texting, emailing? What are you doing? You guys are designing this out, and I'm just judging you from the front of the classroom.
Oh, that's that. From numbers I don't recognize.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you're a text and then a call the next day. You guys all on okay with that plan? What if I told you to call? Would that be like, oh, nope, I'm not doing that? I'm a fan of call first, then text second. And that's all in a day. I don't leave messages, I send texts. Yeah. So like I'll call a lead and they don't answer, I'll hang up and text them something. Because then if they're just like, I'm not like a phone call person, I'm fine with that. I moved it to text. If they're like, oh no, I am a phone call person, like the text allows them to call me back because I just called them. But if you text them and they're like, I want to call, like that's a weird reason to pick up the phone. Like you're never supposed to jump up the level. I do this all the time, and people are like, oh, you're calling me off of the text that I just sent you. And I'm like, I know, I'm not following protocol here, but I need to like a voice to voice, even though you sent a text. So I call first, and then if they don't answer, I send a text. And then so if they don't respond at all, let's say that's our game plan. What about tomorrow? What do you do tomorrow? Do you do anything? Who are you gonna call again? Let's think about real life for a second. Like not like best practices, like would it be weird for you, and be 100% honest, if you just called someone and texted them yesterday and they didn't respond to you? Are you gonna reach out to them the next day? Like 100% honesty. Okay. I don't know. There's this agent. I use him as an example all the time. He misses that awkward button, when you're like, when I say you should call everyone in your database and you're scrolling through, or like Gary Vee says, like, send this to everyone. I guarantee you would record a video like that and you'd get to like the second or third person. I have someone on my phone. I already know what the first person I would hit and be like, ooh, nope. His name's Aaron Kwanberg or Kwanberger, or I don't even know. I worked with him for maybe 1 month. He was like pseudo my boss, so I added him on my phone. He seemed like such a cool guy. He worked for about a month and then ended up like leaving to a different part of the company. Still have him in my phone. I still remember him because he was cool. This was 14 years ago. So like he for sure doesn't know who I am. For sure. I was one of 6 guys that he was kind of not even really my boss for 1 month and then left. He doesn't remember me. So I send that out to him. That would feel so weird. I would hit that and be like, oh, nope, I'm out. Sorry, Gary Vee. I made it to Aaron. That's how far I made it. Like third in my contact list. But there's this agent. His name's Taylor. He has none of this. So we told him like, so this week you call these letters, and he would call every single person on Monday. Yep, Taylor Frampton. He's now the St. George team leader, because what he did worked. So he would call them all, and then people wouldn't answer. And on Wednesday, he'd call everyone that didn't answer. And then on Friday, he'd call everyone that didn't answer. And that was his week every single week. And he closes 20 to 30 deals every single year. Basically, his sphere of influence is all he works.
I think that like
But he misses that awkward switch, and it's like,
disconnect produce with social cues sometimes be superpower, honestly. But
yes. Yeah. See, but these aren't random people. These are people you know. That's what's hard about it. It's like,
I know, how many of those did you take out that maybe this?
okay, so we're back. Wait, we're back to our example. I don't know if it's my ADD today or if you guys have it. I'm blaming you for my jumping all over the place. So you have an open house lead, you call, text them, and then it's the next day. What are you doing that next day? Be honest with me. You're gonna text them? Okay. They don't respond again. We're on the next day. What do you do? Ooh, I love that. I love that. We haven't even talked about content yet, right? Yes. Have you guys bought a car lately? Don't buy cars. That's the worst. I hate every minute of it because you just watch yourself buying an asset that's going to depreciate, and you have to deal with the car salesman. And then even when you're like, this is the car, I want this, it's like 2 or 3 hours that you're still there before you're like driving away in a car. And I'm like, you pre-approved me for my loan forever ago. And you said, if I don't get the loan, I have to bring the car back. Like, I have to promise all of these things. Like, why am I here for 3 hours? Anyway, if you reach out to a car salesman and say, oh, hey, is this car available? And they say, yep. And then you kind of ghost them. What's the first thing that they're going to do?
Make it That's right.
You want to take a test drive? Our version of that is, do you want to walk through it? Then when you don't say anything, what do they say?
Didn't hear back.
Didn't hear back from you. What's going on? You still interested? Oh, hey, we actually sold that car. Do you want this car? Hey, have you seen these other things? What did you like about that one? They're just going to keep bombarding you with questions and questions and questions until you unsubscribe from them. But they're using some software that you just write stop and they're like, ah. We're using our phones that when someone writes stop, you're like, dude, I'm a real person. So you reply back with a sad emoji. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah. So you can go crazy like that. And not that it's crazy, but it's like they're just following up. One of my very favorite lines to say to a lead is the hardest part of my job is matching your motivation. If you are 100% ready to run and find the right house, I will run 100 miles an hour and we will go find that right house. If you cool off or if you're not ready and I'm still running 100 miles an hour, I'm going to seem very pushy. But if you're ready and I am not running 100 miles an hour, you're not going to like me as a real estate agent. So I'm going to try to constantly match your motivation. I'm going to default to doing too much. You give me feedback when I'm that way. And I'm going to ask you questions because if I cool off, I'm going to just check in every 2 to 3 weeks because that means our nurture, they've cooled off a little bit. So I'm going to do that. So, okay, you finally get a hold of this person and they say, I really want to buy a house. I'm about 2 to 3 months out, but I need to find the very right house. Where do they fit in? 2 to 3 months. Nurture. Okay. Now you get another lead. And they walk into your open house and they think, this might be an investment property for me. And then they run the numbers. You talk to them on Monday and they're like, you know what? This one doesn't work. Send me some more investments and I'm going to buy one of those. Where are they? You put them as hot? Are you guys all agreeing? I just tried to like bait you to see if you'd say something different. There's no right or wrong answer. This is all it. So I look at it 2 different ways. I'm going to look at it as their timeline. And then I'm going to look at it also as if I called them, like if I called and this investor every single week with properties or questions or how are things going, is he going to hate me? Or if I called that like buyer that walked through every 3 weeks, is she going to be mad that I'm not reaching out more often? Like, am I dropping the ball at that point? Or am I doing it too much and I should do every 6 weeks? So sometimes I'll use a gauge on how realistic I should actually reach out to them or just what they kind of say their timeline is. So I'm using both to judge where I'm putting these people.
You're saying you're trying to balance.
Yeah. I would default to too many touches. Yep. So I have this buyer right now, and we've seen houses 3 separate times. We've gone out to see houses. 3 of the times he should have bought one of the houses. Every time we've gone out, we find like, this is the house. One of them, to be fair, they're like, we need to go to the church and see what it's like because they have young kids. There was 0 young kids in the ward. And they're like, this neighborhood won't work for us because the kids won't have any friends. I'm like, all right, so the house works, the neighborhood doesn't. Let's go find a new one. Then we found this. We found an awesome place and they were so nervous about it. And then they're like, I reached out on Monday. I was like, hey, what are you guys thinking about this one? Because we saw it on the first day it went on the market on a Friday. And on Monday, I was like, is this it? And then nothing. And I called him on Wednesday and I was like, hey, I don't want to miss out. Like this was like, it seemed like the right house. And he's like, you know what? This was the right house, but it's maybe like a little out of our budget because he's a chiropractor and his business like slowed down. And I was like, all right, we'll go a little bit lower than that. Then we found this awesome house that he's like, I'm going to remodel the whole entire thing. He loves to do like whitewater rafting and things like that. The house, the backyard was Provo River. like legit walked out of the backyard and there was like a half fence with a little gate in it and you go through the gate and you're in the river. And I'm like, dude, you would just literally like the kayaks that you guys have that are tied to your van right now. You go set those in the water and you kayak down to Utah Lake. I'm like, that would be cool. So he's like, yeah, get all this info. Anyway, I got all this info from the listing agent. We're all excited to make an offer and then crickets. Like, ah. So anyway, I keep sending him houses because my theory is buyers buy houses. That's the thing that they care about. If they're going to buy a house, that's the thing that changes their mind. There's really two reasons that people move. It's either the timing, they have to move for whatever reason, right? I just got a job, or it's summer and our house doesn't quite work. Oh, there was a death in the family, we need to sell. So there is timing, and then there is the house that makes you move. Sometimes those can kind of align up like a Venn diagram type of an idea. If you can find the right house at the right timing, people buy houses. Even people that are like, oh, I'm not really thinking about buying. But if you're like, look at this awesome house. Like that was basically 2020 to 2023. You'd be like, hey, look at the house you're in. It's got a bunch of equity. Look at this way better house with a lower payment because the interest rates are ridiculous. Why don't you just move? And it was crazy. Now you don't have that benefit of like, you'll have a lower payment if you move into a nicer house. Like that's not a enticing thing, but you can be like, hey, you know that 3-bedroom townhome that you're in with your 8 kids? What if we sold that and moved into this polygamist house that has 20 rooms in it? I don't know. I don't know. Something that fits better for the family. But so if you find that right house, people are more inclined to move. So I just keep sending houses to this guy. He actually doesn't respond to me. But you know what he does? He looks at the houses that I send him. And if I send him the right house, do you know what happens? He says, let's go see it. So I am just constantly looking for the right house. So I have a hot sheet set up for what he is looking for, but a little more broad. And that's on the MLS. And then I send him houses automatically. So every single person on this, I set up on a saved search. So they are getting a list of houses from me, from command. You can set that up as often as you want. Usually my hot leads, I'm doing this instantly or daily. The nurture is usually pretty quick as well, like daily type of an idea. You get down to the long term, this is maybe every week or every 2 weeks. I just want to give them a reason to come back to my website, because if you're looking at houses on my website, I can see which houses you've been looking at. And then I can use that as I'm sending you houses. Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's just a real easy to set up. So, and I can even show you in a minute, but if on the command, you just go to save search and then create the criteria and it sends out an email. Anything that matches that. Then if anything is right with the house, they will want to go see it. And you want to be the one that's sending them to them because that is part of our value add. So a lot of these could be houses, a lot of your touches that you're doing. I will do a couple of different touches. One, it will be like, hey, look at these houses that you haven't seen. Some of them will be like, hey, I saw this house and I thought of you. And it will literally be a house that they looked at online. If they're looking on my site about houses, I will do that all the time. And it works so well. Craziest thing. I sold my cousin a house last year with that exact same thing. It was in a class like this and I was like, watch. I went to her command page, saw that she had been looking at houses. I grabbed one of them and I sent it and I said, hey, I saw this and thought of you. I don't know if it'd be a good fit though. And she wrote back, haha, yeah, the carpet's super ugly, but we like this other one. Can we go see it? She bought that other house. Just like that. So you can do some of these little things. It doesn't have to be gimmicky. Like you are here to help them find the house that works for them. Now, let's talk about sellers. Because sellers are the absolute best. Do you know why they're the best? So my buyer client, this chiropractor, I have shown him houses 3 separate times. Every time that I see houses, I'm about 2 to 3 hours. If he needs to sell his house that he owns, which he's trying not to, but if he does, I will go to that house 1 time. I will probably be there for 1 hour, and then I can do the rest of my job from anywhere else in the world. Way, way easier to list homes and consistently sell lots of them than work with a lot of buyers. So I follow the same formula. A hot seller is someone that's ready to go. I do this usually before we meet, right? If I'm like, oh, you're probably going to want to list your house in the next month, you're hot. Once I do list their house, I do still keep them as hot because I'm looking at those often, but other people will have like categories like listed. I follow the same concept. You need to talk to them every single week if they are a listed house. Because you just should. The number one complaint from like 2010 to 2020, the number one complaint about real estate agents from sellers were they didn't get enough communication. Then that changed because houses were selling in a weekend. Well, now houses don't sell in a weekend. So you know what complaint's coming back? My real estate agent doesn't talk to me enough, doesn't communicate. So I am never that. I will talk to them every single week. I like to do this as a phone call, but that is how I always start. Phone call, no answer, send a text. What questions do you have? Okay, let's talk about more of the what to say. So you're sending houses. What if you don't find any good houses? So how do you turn that into like a conversation, a follow-up with someone?
Find more qualified questions fast. So really maybe what they thought they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, like almost I wonder, is it coming down to the exact house or is it coming down to some sort of timing? Right, when we go back to that, like they're like, oh yeah, I want to move this summer, but we're not finding the right houses. And it's like, well, I can find you the wrong house and you can move this summer. So what's more important, the right house or the summer? Like it comes back to the whole wants and needs. Like, what do I want versus what do I need? My children want to sleep in the same bedroom every single night. So I have 5 kids. My little girl is the baby. She's 2. She sleeps all by herself. She gets her own room. The 4 boys, we used to, because we have 3 bedrooms upstairs. So we used to do 2 in one room, 2 in the other room. They every night would ask to have a sleepover and do have all 4 of them. And they'd switch rooms and all of these things. And it just drove me nuts. So finally I said, fine, that's your room. All 4 of you are in one room. So we have 4 children in one room.
Funny, but my 2 oldest boys always shared a room. And then we moved into a house that it was big enough they could each have their own room.
Uh-huh.
They were like 12 and it was 12. The other one had to be maybe 14. I mean, so they were young.
Yeah.
And the 12-year-old was sleeping in the room with our older son, and they still slept in the same room for a while. And I thought it was so funny. They were just young then. So anyway, this should
Yeah. So if I were buying a new house and you said, what do you want versus what do you need? My wants would be to have enough. I would want 6 bedrooms so they each could have their room. And yep. And then I would want extra areas, like I might need an office in there that I never use because I'm only in here, but it sounds nice. And then I'd want like a play area or a TV and stuff. Like all of a sudden it's sounding all of these rooms. But when it comes down to what do I need one room for all of my boys because they're just going to sleep in it anyway. So like wants and needs, like there's the ideal and then there's the not. So when you're looking for the right houses, it's like you look at the wants and the needs, and then there's some things like non-negotiables, like I need a yard. My boys are very active, like 100%. We need a yard so they can just go and run. I have 2 dogs. I'd actually get rid of them for the right house or for the wrong house. Hate those dogs. Uh, they, I don't know, just I never wanted them. And here's the story. They're golden doodles. They're like good dogs. They're really nice. But so like my wife's like, I want this dog for Christmas. And I said, I'm sorry, you don't get a Christmas present this year then. And so she bought a dog. And then a year later, she's like, well, this dog, like he keeps escaping and he goes and runs and sees all of the other dogs in our street, in our neighborhood, and then he comes back. She's like, I think he just needs a friend. And just so happens that the same dogs that we got our first one from had another litter, and so there we got another one. So anyway, wants and needs. Doesn't really matter for leads. So as you're diving into this, it's all about these questions. The more information that you can gather from these people, the more that you can dive in. But you're not going to know these things. Like you probably won't like be talking with a lead and hear things like, oh yeah, I'd get rid of my dogs. Like that's like not a normal thing. If you like talk to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I have 2 dogs, then you'd be like, check, you need a yard, you need all of these things for your dogs. And I'll be like, well, so that's probably not something. I'm probably not gonna tell you all of these things. But in my mind, as I start to get houses, I'm gonna start to visualize, you know what, this kitchen is way better than my kitchen. This is a way better layout. This is spacious, blah, 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 blah. So as you're doing that, I would just default to send houses. Like maybe this works, maybe this doesn't. And that's the easiest way. Hey, I don't know if this is for you. That's a great script. Hey, I don't know if this is for you, but I saw this. Saw this and thought of you. Do that every single week. Now, this is not the only way to do follow-up, by the way. This is my way to do follow-up. I've heard of a lot of other ways. There's this agent, his name's Cody Gibson. He is a big deal. He has like 100 teams scattered across the nation. So he started his team and then it went really well. So then he branched off to another area, and he's at like 100+ teams in Keller Williams. His follow-up plan is, he has a clever name for it, but I can't remember it. Follow-up Wednesdays, something stupid like that, but it's more clever. Every Wednesday, he calls all of his leads, specifically seller leads. This is what he does. And he says, hey, it's Wednesday. Just want to follow up. How are things progressing? You ready to list your home? Great. No. Okay. See you next week. Bye. Hangs up. He always tells them, I'll just call you next week. Bye. And they're like, no. He's already hung up. So then he calls every week. If they don't answer, do you know what he does? He calls them the next week. Just over and over and over. When he was selling, he typically listed about 10 homes a month. And that was his whole process. So don't let people fall through the cracks. There's this whole idea of a funnel. You're going to get people that are very far away when you first put them in the funnel. You don't want to have cracks all over your funnel where people are falling out before you make income. So it sounds very simple right now, because if I were to look back and be like, how many leads did you generate last week? And you're probably going to say 0 to 5. Well, that makes sense. You could almost in your mind follow up with 5 people. You can easily do it with 0. And then you start to compound that each week. If you keep doing lead generation, you're going to get more and more people. And then you're going to start to see that you have cracks. Do not judge people, but you are going to hit some sort of a limit. So when I say that is, you're going to meet someone and you're going to be like, I don't know if they're going to buy. Like they seem like they want to, but they don't. Like my guy, I've gone out to see houses with him 3 separate times. Each time we're seeing like 2 to 3 houses. Some of them are very good. Like in my mind, I'm like, is he ever going to buy, or do they just like seeing houses? And I could very easily just let him just slip through the crack. because I'm like, he's not gonna buy. The only reason I would ever be okay with this is if I had so many leads coming in the top that out of the bottom, I am hitting my goals. If I am not getting enough leads in here, I need to make sure that not a single person falls through the cracks and then I'm filling all of those cracks. Then you're going to reach a point where you are so busy that even as you fill the cracks, you are going to start to get so many leads that you are having leads fall through the cracks. And you're like, I thought I solved this. And then that's where you go get support and help, where you're hiring an admin, an assistant, showing assistant, a buyer's agent, someone like that that can help, because then they're just going to run your same playbook and not let anyone through the cracks. But until that day, you just have to make sure every lead that you get, even if it's a crappy lead, it's there. I think a single agent can handle about 100 leads on their plate. That's not 100 showings, that's 100 leads. So they might be like a couple right here, ready to go. There might be a few up here, a bunch up here, but you're going to end up with 100 people somewhere in your funnel. Focus on the bottom few, then the middle, then the top, and this is how you would do something like that. Questions? I feel like I've just rambled for an hour. So the next thing I want to tell you about is leads, how they come in. So let's say you're doing some of these things. Social media. Let's talk about that one specifically. If you run content on social media, how are you going to get leads usually? You're going to get some followers. Yep. Oh, like calls, texts, what are you doing? Or direct messages? Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So that is how you actually do social media. Most people are like, oh, I posted a house for sale, but you are like engaging, you are prospecting, you're going to be active. So most of these are going to come as direct messages. There's a girl in our brokerage who she crushes Facebook Marketplace. So she posts listings on Facebook Marketplace. So on Facebook Marketplace or KSL, what's like the text? Hey, is this still available? Would you take 100 grand less? Just kidding. That's like, so she'll get people that will reach out and say, hey, is this still available? And she'll be like, yep, let's go see it. And then they'll stop talking to her. Do you know what she does? She just messages them, hey, still available. You want to go see it? Hey, this one's sold. Do you want to go see something else? Hey, what about this house? Nope. She asked agents at her brokerage. They're like, hey, are you doing this on Facebook Marketplace? I'd love to do that for you. If you're not, are you okay if I do that? And they said, yeah, sure. Because it's going to help them sell the house and they're not doing it. She says that at any given point, she probably has 50 to 100 DM threads going at any time. And sometimes people aren't responding at all, but she is just messaging them. So our whole plan of like, oh, hey, let's call and text and everything. Well, she doesn't have their phone number. She can't do anything. The only she can do is a DM. So she just sends a message there. Same thing with social media. If someone actually raises their hand, they're going to raise their hand through messages. Like they're going to send you a DM and then you can just follow up as much as you can there. But you can do all the same things. You can send them houses. You can ask them questions. You can try to get their phone number. You can do whatever you want all on direct messages. So do that. Door knocking. What would it look like to get a lead for door knocking? What is a lead from door knocking? You knock on a door, and then that's a person, a potential lead, but when do they become a lead? When you get their number. How do you get their number? Yes.
So I just asked, like, was
process.
Uh-huh.
If they like seemed excited about it, I would be like, "When or do you mind if I just show you a text her?
Love it.
Did you get all the contact?
Like, hard to say, it's so consolidate.
Now you have 5 or 6 people you can throw in your database. Any other marketing that you're doing, you can now market to them. I bet they own houses. Yes. Ooh, yeah. Hey, when you're sick of your townhouse and you want a house, let me know. Hey, I found this perfect move up house. I don't know if it would work for you. So easy. Okay, so in door knocking, you're gonna have face-to-face conversations, and you're gonna have to actually do an ask to get their contact information. Short of that, you're gonna have to drive to their house every time you want to reach out to them, which is not efficient, but you could do it. You go run in there. Oh my gosh, we talked last week. Do you remember me? I just have this one little message to tell you. Hey, I could just text you this next time. What's your phone number? So your follow-up with them is going to be better if you can get their contact information. But then you can make this however you want. Like some people are like, oh yeah, I want to sell, but probably not for a few years. That's a lead. So this is like that long term where we said 6 months plus, this is the plus kind of an idea. So let's just like, well, great, let me send you houses in your neighborhood that will affect your value. And then that way you can keep up to date on the market. If all of a sudden you have so much equity, you're ready to go, let me know. Other than that, I'll just reach out every so often, check in with you. Sound cool? Cool. What's your email? What's your phone number? So easy. Mailers is kind of similar, right? We're going to send out mailers, but it's more on the marketing side rather than the prospecting. People are going to raise their hand. You probably need some sort of call to action or some sort of offer on your mailer, or you're going to do it for a long time. But this is the same idea. So it's like, hey, will you give me your contact information so I can send you things of value? And then I can reach out randomly. Hey, are you ready to buy or sell? Influencers. If you go to find someone that it has an outsized influence to sell a house. This is not social media influencers. It could, but like I was telling Andrew, like door-to-door salesmen are great for this. Like if they're selling security, their qualifying question is, when are you going to move? Because if they sell a security system to someone that's going to move within a certain amount of time, they actually lose money. So they want to make sure that people aren't moving. Well, I want the opposite. So every time that my buddies are like, yeah, I'm actually going to go door knock in Utah, and if you know anyone looking for security, let me know. And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, okay, I'll let you know. But if you hear of anyone that is interested but says that they're going to move, I want to know that, because then I can go talk to them. So get their contact info. So I'm actually staying in better contact with the influencers. This is more my sphere of influence, my database that I'm talking to rather than the people. And then the people just become leads because of them. And I'm just going to reach out to them through that. A niche, same kind of an idea. Who do you need to keep in contact with to do that? Andrew's saying social or the managers of these door knocking crews, so he can sell to the door knocking crews. He should have a great follow-up, a great relationship, great rapport with those people, and then try to add more of those. There's a lot of managers. How can you do more and more and more? Open houses. We kind of talked about this. This is kind of the best of all of the worlds, right? Because you could door knock for it, you could social media, you could send mailers for it, you could do all of the things for open houses. But when you finally are getting leads from it, don't let them fall through the cracks. The thing about open houses is every single person that goes through open houses are okay going through a different open house. They didn't just walk into your open house because it was yours. They all walked into an open house because it was an open house. So if they leave your open house and they turn the corner and they're like, oh, another open house, all of a sudden they are in that agent's network. So you need to figure out what's your follow-up plan. How do you do that just that much better? And I would suggest adding value, adding an offer that no one else can match. And when I say that, everyone could match it, but you just might need to be a little bit better at selling it. So for example, with this, the Red Sign team, they have this See It First program. You could rip off and duplicate this all you want. So the See It First program, it's an aggressive way to find a good deal in this market. That's all it is. Would you be okay being aggressive and finding a good deal for someone? Yeah. So how this works is they tell us, so come into the office, I'll get to know your wants and needs. Anytime a house fits your criteria, we will send that out to you, and most times we'll be able to go see that house even the same day. Does that sound very different than what any real estate agent does? No. Like, hey, come into for a buyer appointment, and then we're gonna go see houses. And by the way, I'm gonna set you up on a hot sheet, a save search, a listing alert, whatever they're called, to send you houses. If you like any of them, let me know. We'll go see those. It's the same thing. But if you walked into an open house where I say, hey, do you want to get set up on the See It First program? It's an aggressive way to find a good deal. Versus some agent that's like, hey, do you want me to send you houses? So sometimes wrapping it around solving their problem. So if their problem is, I need to get a good deal or I need someone aggressive, that checks the boxes and they can move on. You could even say something about affordability, like, hey, as you're probably looking at these, you're probably realizing it's either hard to afford or payments seem crazy. I actually run a program called the Affordable Home Care Act. I don't know. That's probably a thing. And what I do is I help people get a good deal on a house, and then I help them get good terms on this. So I've worked with my lenders to do a handful of things. Some of this might just be like a 3-2-1 buy down, if you've ever heard of that, where your rate is 3% lower for the first year, then 2% for the next year, then 1% for the next year, and then it stays the same after that. All you do is you get enough closing costs from the sellers to be able to pay for that. Super easy. Any agent can do it. But if you have a fancy name that you're calling it, where you're getting an aggressive deal or a good deal and aggressive terms that will favor you to make it more affordable, you sound better. So as you add in these little things, as you meet people, you are going to stand out. And then you can use this as like almost like a scarcity tactic or an urgency tactic. Hey, I have 3 people that I'm setting up on this program right now. Would you like to be one of those? Here's what I need from you. You need to actually answer me. Answer my phone calls. We're going to go see houses every single month, and you need to be pre-qualified with a certain lender. Could you do all of those? Do you want to go get a good deal and something affordable? Awesome. Great. So you can set yourself up for success in a few of these things by just doing that, or you can just be you.
Right. The techniques I watched or the video training that on the open house.
Lee Stern. Yes.
Liked her open house.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've talked to agents that have,
And how that good works.
yep, agents have told me that they collect more leads and have better conversations after the open house with them by just
Like,
going up and meeting them. Like it almost feels like you're in control of your open house. I had this awkward scenario where I scheduled a showing the other day, and then they scheduled an open house at the same time my showing was. And I was like, oh, this is awkward. So I came in as a real estate agent with my buyers to an open house. And the guy was he was literally like leaning like this, like just hanging out on the kitchen counter. The house was vacant. And we walked in and we could see him. It was like probably like me to Andrew from the front door. And he's just like, hey guys. And I'm like, nope, I don't like you. Like instantly. And I had no problem with him, but I'm like, why don't you like come in, introduce yourself? Like he had no idea that I was a real estate agent. He just saw 3 people walking in. Like that could be anything. But if he would have come in, like, hey, how's it going? Like, what's your name? He didn't ask us to sign in, do anything. It was like 2 minutes before I told him I was a real estate agent because I wanted to see what he would do. And I'm like, he missed a huge opportunity. Didn't tell us about any other homes for sale in the area. he knew that there was a pool in the HOA, but had no idea where it was, but we had driven in past it, like missed his opportunity there. So yeah, I would say 100% run that.
Self, right? Instead of,
Yep.
or what, just from people's experience, is it better? To me, it seems like it'd be better, easier to have them fill out their information, because they would know how to spell their name. You know, they put their phone number, whatever contact information they were willing to give you.
Yep.
You know, have that clipboard and have them write it down. What do you think is best?
I don't know. I go back and forth because if you hand someone a clipboard, they tend to just scribble garbage, like Cameron's junk email at gmail.com. No, at Hotmail, that's where they would do it. AOL.com. So they could like fill out something like that, fake information, switch the thing. But if you're just like, oh, hey, what's your phone number? And then you read it back to them, but wrong. And they're like, oh, no, you got that wrong. You're like, oh, thanks for correcting me. And now I know that it's right. Side note, my roommate in college, he used to always give his number out, but switch the last 2 digits to people that he didn't really like. So then if they ever were like, hey, you gave me the wrong number. And he's like, oh no, you just switched the last 2. That's on you. Thought that was a clever thing. I'm like, I got to do that when I'm signing up for things. But so if you write it down, I think that they're going to give it to you a little bit better. It shows that you're in control. It's like inviting them to like be part of your open house rather than just like sign this clipboard, give me the wrong information. And then she kind of goes like, she doesn't have flyers, but if anyone comes through, it's like, oh, I want to email you the flyer. What's your email? Yeah.
So that she did their email.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
Flyer. Say, I'll email it to you right now.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
That's the one thing that I'm like, here, like take my phone and type in your email, kind of an idea, because I'm not gonna, people's emails are too weird. So you're gonna struggle with that. So.
But have people tried that?
And it works well. Yep. Yep. You would be so surprised if you're like even just door knocking. I've had agents that will door knock and be like, hey, I'm the real estate agent in the area. What's your email? People will just give it to them. I'm like, what? Like that's your script is what's your email? What's your phone number? Like, so weird that people will just give away information like that, not even questioning it. So I think it's easy. Okay. I want you guys to build out your lead follow-up plan. So typically when you get a lead, I want you to write out the steps that you are going to follow. By the way, when do you give up on a lead? We didn't talk about this. Like, let's say you're doing a call, when they don't answer, you send them a text. How many times do you do that before you give up on a lead? Tell you to stop? Yep. My 2 answers. I have a third, but I don't like that one was much. Till they tell you to stop. They're like, dude, just no more, please. No more. Until you get too many leads and it's a waste of your time to follow up with someone for the 20th time. And then my third answer is statistically, everyone will take 6 reach outs before you reach them. This is like an internet lead. If you reach out to someone 6 times, statistically, you will reach like 98% of the people. If you met them in an open house, you've already met them. So I don't know how many times you're going to have to follow up before it works. So more than 6, maybe less than 6, probably. But if you don't have any other leads, it's real easy. Hey, just checking in. You're not answering. It's cool. I'll try again later. There's nothing worse than having a lead of a person and then you finally get a hold of them and like, oh, I just had an offer accepted on a house. And you're like, you're in my database, you're getting my marketing, and I did a bad job of reaching out to you. Like it's legitimately a $12,000 mistake if you're not doing the follow-up. So don't let that happen to you. So write out, if you get a lead and you can do it per source, kind of the idea, how am I going to follow up? By the way, you'll notice that my follow-up plan that I laid out has 0 emails. The only emails I send people are the actual houses. I try to set everyone up on a saved search that they get houses from. I do not send any other emails out. Have you guys ever read an email and thought, I need to reply to this person and work with them? That is not a thing that happens. There, for a while, we hired this company. Their name was Rockerbox. Their job, we would just generate leads, mostly online. They would sift through them, and when someone was ready to either buy, sell, or set an appointment, they would pass it back to us. Then they started to set appointments for us. And they did a lot of studying on what they did, and they found that 74% of people set an appointment with you on the phone. Phone calls, 74%. 25% of people set an appointment over text message, but then they also confirmed it with a phone call. 1% set an appointment with an email. So if I was going to put any effort in anything, it would not be to write better emails. So I don't care about emails. I'm going to call and text them, and I'm going to look at improving this as much as I can. Command has awesome follow-up plans. If you're like, well, I do want emails, go to the Smart Plan library and see what everyone else is doing and rip off and duplicate from them. I text from my phone. I call from my phone. It's all from me. I think if you have a different area code, wait, all 3 of you have the wrong area code, don't you? 208? Oh, you're okay. What's your area code? What's your phone number? Yeah. 406, yep, okay. Only one good area code here for Utah. So if you guys call a random lead, they're gonna be like, oh, Idaho's calling me. 406, where's that? Montana.
I will say this now. So I have a 678 area code in Atlanta, but I just went and activated, like it's an extra $10 a month at Verizon. It might be less than others. And so now my business number is 801. So.
And it's on your phone, so you have.
It's all on my phone, and like in my messages, I can choose which one. There's like a B next to each of them for business number, and there's a P next to personal.
Wait, click compose. What does that look like when you create
Right,
a text?
Okay, so when I create one and I say, let's text this random number, and then okay, just random number. So I have personal.
Oh,
or
and
I
it
can
has
do
a
bus- or I can
from.
do Business.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my argument.
I see whether it's coming in on my business line or my personal line. Like,
That's so cool.
so, yeah.
If you don't want to do that, I have an argument for not doing that. Because if you are reaching out to a lead multiple times, it's not often that like a 208 phone number calls you every single day. And be like, why the freak is this 208 number calling me again? And then you're just going to finally answer like, all right, 208, who are you? And so there is an argument that being unique is good, but that's cool.
Well, this one you can grab up.
You could call either. Yeah, switch it up. Yeah, if you are going to do like an outbound prospecting like FSBO's expireds circle prospecting idea, I would 100% do his method. Really just for one reason is you can get marked as spam. And so if you're going to do that and your personal phone number gets marked as spam, you could like call your best friend or your spouse and they won't get your call because it will be filtered out by spam filters, depending on the carrier and how they do it and blah, 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 blah. So adding another phone number, probably a great plan for something like that. So, okay, so go build out your follow-up plan. What's your game plan? If you get a lead, what are you going to do? This can be gimmicky, it can be great, it can be whatever. Like, there's some people that called the 4 Days of Love. So what they do for this is the first day, they call, text, and email. And just like reach out to them. Then the next day, you send them a text message with a broken link in it. And then you call them. And when you're leaving a message, you mention their name and that you're calling for some reason, but you hang up in the middle of the sentence. Be like, hey, Becca, I'm just reaching out because. And they're like, oh, someone got cut off, but it was obviously calling me. Like whatever you need to do. I have a friend that he calls it power dialing. He'll call twice and then send a text message. Be like, hey, Cameron, call me. I'm like, man, 2 calls and a text message, like something's up. And so you call him back. He's like, yeah, you like that? Power dialing. Everyone always calls me back. So whatever you need to do to get in contact, but then figure out your long term. Set yourself your tags that you're going to use in command and your standards around them. What does each of them mean? I use Hot Nurture Watch long term because I'm used to that. You might want to call it like 1 month, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, 6+. Call them whatever you want. That's the beauty of command. You can make it customizable. And then what are your standards for those people and how are you going to hold yourself to that standard? Then it becomes a system. We don't rise to the level of our something. We fall to the level of our systems. What's that quote from James Clear? Don't rise to the level of something. Fall the level of our systems. This becomes a system that you can just lean on. You know who to call, when to call them, and then hopefully what to say or an idea of what to say. Then it's just add more people in. Let's get as many leads as humanly possible and reach out. Questions, thoughts, anything else?
All those 3 on day 1.
Yep. Yeah. And they'll leave a voicemail. It's like, here, show it's Cameron reaching out. You didn't. Yes. Statistically speaking, it is on Wednesdays and Thursdays between like 9 to 11 or 5 to 7. So it's like morning and nights. I don't know why, but that's how it is. And Wednesdays and Thursdays, who knows why. But I don't think it matters. It's going to matter to some people, but if you leave a compelling enough reason to reach back out, then people will reach back out to you, right? If my message that I left is like, hey, this is Cameron. Remember, I'm a real estate agent. Call me back. I'd love to chat. No one's going to call me back. But if it's like, hey, I'm Cameron. Remember, we met at the open house. I actually have 3 more listings that I think are better than the open house. Wanted to see if you were interested. Now they're expecting 3 more listings that are better than the open house. I better have that to deliver. But I'm way more likely to get someone to call me back because they're like, well, that was a pretty good open house. What makes these better? So be compelling. I have always hated the people that are like puffers, I guess you could call them, you know, exaggerate and things like that. And I'm changing my mind this month. I just decided that I need to add some more of those things in my life because it's really hard to explain like how awesome you will be as a real estate agent, right? Because like think about like if you had a client right now that was like, I want to buy this house, like think to the lengths that you would go to help them buy this house right now. Your only client, your first one, like you would just go crazy to help them. But like, how do you say that to someone that would make sense? But if you have like a good like one-liner or a name or something, like that might just like pique the interest in them that are like, oh yeah, like you're a hustler, you know? I don't know. But then you need to come up with cool names. I don't know what I would do without ChatGPT. Come up with something like this. Like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I hustle. I'm going to get everyone the right deal. I'm never going to give up, blah, 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 blah. How do I do all of this? What would I call me? Like Clay with the See It First program. Like, that sounds so cool. You want to see it first, get a good deal? It's an aggressive approach to find you a good deal. People are like, yeah, I want that. Well, that's everything that everyone else is offering. He just like named it. So do whatever you need to get those leads to answer you, and then don't let them fall through the cracks. Mic drop. I wish I had something cooler to say to the mic drop at the end. Should stop talking. Okay, go build that out. Good luck.